Hey everyone, welcome to today's video, and in today's video I will be doing the springtime book tag. I will link the original creator down below, and I am so excited for this book tag. I was just like thinking, what do I film today? And it's so beautiful outside, it's so sunny, it's so warm, and I just thought, you know, there must be a spring related book tag just to cherish and to celebrate the arrival of spring. And I found this one. It sounds really cool. I like the question, so let us just get right into it. So the first question is, how do you decorate your bookshelf? And I don't really decorate my bookshelves, as you can sort of tell. I usually always, whatever like bookshelf I have, there's some plant. That is my main decoration, and maybe I'll have some like figures, souvenirs from different countries from where I've been. I just try to put little things that remind me of some trips, or like I'll try to find something. As far as actual decorations could go, I'm not taking into account misplaced items because that's like half of my bookshelf, but I have this bus that reminds me of London. I have a jar that like years ago I covered with hearts, and I have all my bookmarks in here that I hardly ever use, but they're here. And I have a set of cards, which could be a misplaced item, but is also kind of decoration. It just fits into the bookish vibe, you know? It just does. So that's really it. I don't really do much more. During Christmas, I put up some lights behind. And that is basically it. Question number 2 is, recommend a book with a beautiful nature description. And for this one, I sort of struggled a bit because it seems like in most of the books that I read, nature is never such a prominent like theme. But for this question, I'm going with Circe by Madeline Miller. This is an awesome fantasy story following Circe, who is the daughter of Helios, and she doesn't really belong in the god court. She's not one of them. And one day she comes across a mortal, and this sets a chain of events that ruins her life and the life of the gods. And she is cast to a lonely, desolated island where she has to lead a solitary life, but she comes across more mortals, and yeah, it's just her story. It's so beautiful, it's so well written, and I think the beautiful nature descriptions fit into the part where she sits in this cabin on her solitary island, and she learns to cope with her loneliness, and she learns to cope with the landscape and with the truth of what she's done, because she's done something horrible, and that's why she's been cast to this island. And I feel like this is a sort of story that I would really recommend for springtime / summertime, but I just feel like it perfectly fits into this question, so I'm definitely going with Circe. Next up is show us a book with a beautiful cover, and for this one I actually did find myself in a bit of trouble, because I do find that all of the books I own have beautiful covers, but to actually like have something astounding and something that just charms you from the first glance, that's a different thing. For this question, I'm going with Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, which is part of the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo, and I find this extremely fitting for this question, since I actually don't know if the show is out yet, but I don't think so. I think it's coming out by the end of April. I'm not up to date because I still haven't finished the series. It's driving me insane. I think about the series every day because, well, I really like it. I've grown to really like it. I love this world so much. Leigh Bardugo is a queen. But I have the 2 books back in a different country, and like, I don't know how to get them here. And I'm not gonna just order 2 other books because I can't afford that, just, you know, and have 2 sets, because yeah. Anyway, I think the cover is super stunning for this series. This redesign is one of the best ones that I've seen for YA covers, especially YA fantasy. It is just stunning. Like, come on. Next up is spring is about fresh starts. Great time to start a series. What would you recommend? The first thing that comes to my mind is a series I just finished like 2 days ago, like yesterday, 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Guys, it's not like, it is so good. I cannot begin to comprehend how something can be this good. I am mesmerized and so amazed and just speechless, absolutely speechless. Honestly, the series is just so amazing. To put it into a few sentences, just to summarize briefly to you what it's about, feels like crime towards it because there's so much more to it, but basically it's the fantasy world inspired by ancient Rome, and it's very, very brutal, very like dark. So be prepared for that. But it is amazing. The fantasy world is so like interesting and so intricate, and the characters are very, very well developed. Like throughout the 4 books, you get such a well-developed set of characters. It's kind of crazy. And basically there's a bunch of characters who all come from different backgrounds, and the backgrounds they come from are sort of all in conflict with one another because it's a very like unstable situation of the country. One character ends up losing her entire family and sets on a quest to get her brother out of prison. Another character is stuck at school with morals he doesn't believe in, and another character is trying to become the Empress, or actually the Bloodstrike, who is like the second in command of the Emperor. Is that making sense? I don't know. And they're just all set at odds against another, and they're all fighting with each other, but actually they all kind of have the same purpose, and they're all just trying to bring peace to the empire. But I will also recommend to you another series that I don't talk about so often, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Ray Carson. This is a book about a girl who has the power to sense gold. And that book is set at a time in America where that sort of power can grant her a number of evil enemies. Her parents are one day brutally killed, and she sets off on the journey to the other side of the country in the hopes of building a new life where she can be free, where she can forget the troubles of her past, where she can be happy. But things don't go entirely right, and she learns that she has to be really careful with her trust. And I think the main thing I love about this book is the sense of community and the sense of family in it. After Lee, the main character, loses her family, she is lost. She is so lost and lonely, but then you just see her building new bonds, making friends, building a new family around her, and I think that is extremely lovely. Now, the sad part about this book for me is that I haven't finished the series because the 3rd book was never translated into Polish. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. But I assume the conclusion is just as awesome as the other 2 books are, and I highly recommend you give it a go. I think it's just a very, very interesting, a very unique series, something that I haven't really seen in any other series, especially with like the sense of comfort and sense of family. That is a truly amazing thing in this book, and I would really highly recommend it for the springtime. The next question is almost time to start reading outside. Have you been brave enough? And well, in here, mostly it's just been really cold. Like there's a day in every 2 weeks where you can actually go outside without shaking, at least for me. So I haven't been really reading outside unless you count audiobooking outside, which is not that difficult because you can just put your earphones on and just listen to the audiobook, whatever you're doing. But I haven't actually taken a book out and read. The weather just hasn't been not nice enough for me. And whenever it is nice enough, I'm out and about doing things, just walking around. And so no, the answer is I've not done it yet. The next question is spring cleaning. What are some books you're planning to unhaul? Now, I was thinking about this question, and I actually am pretty happy with the books that I own right now. I try to buy books that I kind of am sort of sure that I'm gonna want to keep. Otherwise, I try to like listen to the audiobook, or I get it from the library, just find another way to read it without actually having to buy it, because I'd rather just buy books and own books that I genuinely enjoyed, that I want to reread, and that I would like to recommend to other people. So at this stage, I'm pretty happy with what I have, but I found 3 books that I think I would not mind giving away, and I wouldn't miss them at all. And the first 2 books are books that I actually haven't read yet, but I have lost the interest to, basically, and that's The Kingdom of Bag by Mary Lou. This book featured so much on my channel when I started like recording videos, but I tried reading it last summer and I could not get into it at all. I was so excited about the concept of combining magic and music, but it just didn't click with me. I found the characters so bland and so boring and the plot so forced that I just couldn't get past 2 chapters maybe. I don't even know, but I haven't felt the urge to pick it up since. So I'm just assuming at some point, sooner or later, it's gonna be unhauled. I don't feel the need to keep it here. And the next book is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I was really excited to read this book because I have not completed any John Green book. I tried reading Looking for Alaska, but that went pretty wrong. I could not get into the style. I think it's just not a genre that's meant for me. His style is not meant for me. But I was really excited about this book because of the mental illness representation. I was really curious about how it's done by John Green, since I've heard so much about him, but it's just been so long since I bought it. I mean, I just don't know if I'll ever get into it, and I don't know if I feel the need to try to read it, so I'm just gonna see. Yeah, I could definitely unhaul it without feeling bad. And the last book is a book that I actually read. It's If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura, and I read this book. I did not expect it to be what it is. I thought this was going to be a very melancholical, nostalgic, sad, heart-wrenching story about this guy who finds out he has just a few days to live, and he makes a bargain with the devil that if he makes one thing disappear from the world, he can live one day longer. So from that description, I gather that it would be a very sad story of a guy trying to come to terms with his death, with what he's leaving behind, with whether it is worth to make other things disappear if it just means that he can lengthen his life by a little bit. But what I got from this book is some wannabe sarcastic devil that is trying to be funny, but I could not find him funny. And a character that's sort of similar to that, and a very forced relationship between them, and it was just so weird and awkward to me to read. I don't know if it's because of the translation or it's just not my type of book, but I didn't connect at all to it. So I definitely think at some point I am going to unhaul it sooner or later, and I think the former. Follow up. Which ones will you replace them with? I've been eyeing the house in the Cerulean Sea for such a long time now. I'm just eyeing sort of a good deal where I don't have to pay that much for it. It's just been so expensive recently and I can't afford it like that. I don't know if I'm gonna wait for the paperback. Is it out yet? I don't think it's out yet, but I might just wait for the paperback and get the paperback. I've been eyeing it for such a long time that I think I definitely need to buy it. I also have been eyeing a lot The Steel Prince by V.E. Schwab, which is a graphic novel set in the darker shade of magic universe, which I absolutely adore, as you know. I'm definitely gonna read it, and I think I should probably just buy it since I've been looking at it for such a long time now. I'm also going to get Hollowpacks, The Hunt for Morrigan Crow, which is the third and final book in Jessica Townsend Morrigan Crow series. I'm super excited for it. I've been waiting for it for such a long time for it to be translated into Polish. I have pre-ordered it and I'm gonna read it as soon as it arrives on my doorstep. I'm so excited for it. And last but not least, The Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. I have also heard so much about this middle grade fantasy series that is sort of like Harry Potter, very comforting, very fun to read, and the characters are just to fall in love with as well. Super cute, super adorable, and very intriguing. I don't really know entirely what it's about, but I've heard such good things. I've been hearing a lot about it recently, so I've been definitely eyeing it, and I hopefully will get it very soon. So that is it for my answers to the questions. I really enjoyed filming this video, and I am so happy it's finally spring here. I can finally feel the spring outside, even though the next week will be super cold. But you know, the hope is there. Every once in a while we get like a dose of a nice day, of a pretty day, and it sort of just keeps me going, waiting for actual spring, actual warm, sunny weather to arrive, and I cannot wait. I thrive in spring and summer, and I am living for it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm very curious about the books that you have been meaning to unhaul, if you do that sort of thing, and the books that you've been eyeing and want to buy soon. I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope to see you very soon in my next video. Bye!